Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. Thank you very much for joining me once again. You are always most welcome. Well, obviously it's turning into a bit of a hot and sultry summer, so what better time to channel our inner Vietnam steamy jungle apocalypse now visions in our head by turning to another Vietnam era special edition kit from ICM. It's the Nakhon Phanom airbase, and it made me think of the jungle when I looked at this, because these are aircraft that are pretty much based a bit close to the front line in your fast jets. You've got basically your Cessna and your B-26 Invader. This has just arrived from ICM, and by the way, thank you to them for providing the kit for review. I should add that they've now gone on a month's holiday, and I can't think of anybody that I know who deserves a holiday more than they do, frankly. So well done ICM for all the fantastic output you've done this year. Not just getting lots of kits out, you know. I mean, we've had a couple of kits from a handful of kits from Airfix. We've had almost nothing from Tamiya, you know, and these guys are doing the job every month. They're providing at least one or two new tools, and then in this case they're not new tools, but they're combining them into sets and making them very attractive to the buyer at sensible prices. Now, it's not a cheap kit. This is kit number DS, which I think basically the DS is for set. DS4804, 48 scale obviously. Retailing around about £60 mark, I think, this one. So, but to be honest, my first impression are that there's a heck of a lot of kit here for £60. So to be honest, I think that this is going to be great value. So why don't we get into it and have a look what we've got. We've got artwork, basically the same on the top and the sides, but on the side, down at the bottom here, we have got the following. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm sure I'm not alone in this. I think a lot of us get a little bit confused by all these the nomenclature that the Americans use for the B-26. I always think of the Marauder when people say B-26, but of course they have the B-26K Counter Invader. So the B-26K Counter Invader and the O2 Skymaster Cessna. Pilot figures included, ground tactical personnel figures, and aviation armament, plus 2 sets of airfield plates. So, hang on a minute, £60. Something sounds like, have I got that right? Is it not more £70? Because that's a lot of kit in here, actually. That's why it's so blooming heavy. It's a big box. That's bigger than the Airfix Spitfire, the 24 scale Spitfire, and that was a mighty model. Anyway, it goes on to say, the included aviation armament allows for aircraft combining different combat suspension options for the aircraft, different sortie types. Decals reproduce the markings of several aircraft variants, and there's 196 parts for the Skymaster, 344 for the Invader, Counter Invader, 88 parts for the armament, and 38 parts for the figure. So how many is that? You've got that's 200, just shy of 600 parts, 700. Basically, it's about 750 parts in this box. So, as I say, I think that's quite good value. So, well done, ICM. Enjoy your holidays. Well, I'm hoping that some of you get to watch this, perhaps, or you're hopefully taking care of yourselves, obviously, because of the situation that you're in. But I hope you're having a bit of a well-deserved rest. No kit manufacturer's personnel deserve a rest more than you. So, well done. Now then, if I can find my knife, because it seems to have a heck of a lot of tape sealing this. So please bear with me, because this is more than normal. They've actually got 3 down both sides, which they don't normally do, but I think that's because of the weight, isn't it? I think this is going to be quite a big review, which I wasn't really anticipating. I haven't seen the Invader, Counter Invader before, so I haven't opened this kit. I've never reviewed one of them, so it's going to be completely new to me. So please bear with me. If I'm honest, I'm not the most knowledgeable on those aircraft, so let's hope that ICM provides some data, which they always do readily, unlike many manufacturers that I complain about. Right, sorry about the delay there, that's a bit of doing. Right, quite a lot of protective tape, and why not? So, let's have a look-see. Here we go, the big reveal. I've got a feeling this is going to be, it's just one box within a box, and 2 tabs to open here. Whoa! Oh, okay, it's all a bit at one end, but So we've got one bag of sprues for the Skymaster, the Cessna, and then we've got two bags of sprues for the Counter Invader. This is going to take forever. 2 packs of sprues for the plates, which I think they're very effective. I don't think we need to spend too much time on them. Weapons set, and then our personnel set. God, this could take hours. Get yourself a drink and some snacks quickly. This is much bigger than I was anticipating it was going to be. I knew it was going to be an interesting kit, but I didn't quite anticipate what was in it. I didn't think it was quite that much, so this is going to be fantastic. Right, so if I can try and recover I've been taken over. I'll move my anti-Vietnam jungle fan there to get a quick blow of it. Oh yes, thank you. Right, let's move on. I need to keep cool. I'm still suffering with my bad foot. I'm not sure it's quite as bad as it was though, so that might be a positive sign. It's stopping me doing a lot of things, I've got to say. About the only thing I can do is eat, sleep and sit here making videos about all I can do. Or watch TV of course. Right, so let's have a look. I don't spend a lot of time watching TV in truth. Now then, this is the landing mat, or the sort of US sort of assembly area matting that they used. Does it give any history? No, it doesn't. Oh, but on the other side it's got a nice picture of how it goes together. Check this out. So this is they slot together, they clip together, interlocking, like a tongue and groove system. And then here we've got our Invader, Counter Invader, sitting on the matting. And you've got 2 lots of this, so you've got 1, 2, so I think there's really only enough matting, is there for 1? Is there really enough for 2? 1, 2. Yeah, I think you'd struggle to get enough for the Cessna as well, I'm not sure. But landing mat 2, I'm wrong. Oh good, glad to be wrong. So landing mat 1, landing mat 2, so one seems to be bigger than the other. So I'll tell you what we'll do, just to get that out of the way, we'll actually just have a very rapid look at this. It's only a single bag anyway. Let's have a look. Let's have a good look at this. Right, so there we go. So here's your tongue and groove, interlocking tongue and groove. You can see on the back how it works, the interlocking part of it there, yeah. And then quite simply on the front we've got these sections, short sections and long sections, and that provides you with your sort of landing mat. Obviously you get a lot of rain in South Vietnam. There's a lot of monsoons and storms, and the ground could often be very marshy and terribly boggy, and this is why, especially on some of these forward air bases where they're not a made runway, it's very necessary to have this stuff. So I'll just gently remove that and put that out of the way, because we don't need to sort of dwell on that for too long. It's very straightforward, isn't it? So that is your landing mat. And by the way, somebody complained last night. I do apologise. Somebody complained last week and said, especially with the ICM kits, he said, "Can you be careful to try not to rustle the bag so much?" He said, "Because I listen to it on my headphones and it almost destroys my hearing. It's like it pierces his eardrums every time I do it. So I've got to try and reduce that, try and become a bit more conscious of it, because I can appreciate." I played back the video he was talking about. I thought, yeah, no, I didn't have earphones on, so yeah. Anyway, right now I think we take this one kit at a time. Otherwise, we're just going to get bogged down. So I think that's the easiest way. So let's look at the figures first, almost like a separate kit. So this is our US pilots and ground personnel for Vietnam, and here we go. And you can see them all on the single sprue there, and then we've got yeah, I think I may have seen these before in different. I think we had them in a different kit. I can't remember now, but they look familiar. So you've got 2 of the guys working on the aircraft and loading up the weapons and making sure the locking pins are in and all that kind of thing. Then you've got the pilot, and then you've got what looks like the chief maintenance officer signing everything off, checking off the checklist, make sure the aircraft is safe to fly, and then it looks like we've got the co-pilot. Now I say I'm not familiar with the Counter Invader, so I'm not going to say too much about that until we get to the write-up. We'll let ICM do the work for me on this occasion. It sort of caught me a little bit unawares. Like I say, I wasn't expecting quite such a bounty of some. I have to say they've been most generous as well, because some months they come up with things that just very interesting kits, but not really my bag, and occasionally, very rarely it has to be said, occasionally I'll only choose 1 or 2 items, but this month I chose everything they offered me pretty much, which I think took them by surprise, and I said to myself, look, don't send it all if it's too much, I'll be a bit cheeky. I'll just have a couple. They said, no, you take them all, because you do such a nice job of showing them to other people. So, oh, well, thank you, well, okay. Yeah. So, you know, very kind and generous of them, and I'll do my best to justify their faith. So let's have a look at these. So here we've got these things. I've got to tell you straight away, these are absolutely knockout. I really do think ICM are maybe up with Tamiya. They've got to be the best manufacturer of figures now, in my opinion. Look at the detail. I've got to get a bit closer actually, because the zoom can't quite reach enough. But look at this. I get to, yeah, that's, it won't focus when I get within about 2.5 feet. But look at this. You can see the a little bit more zoom. I didn't realise I hadn't gone all the way then. Look at the guy here with his straps and his parachute buckles. That's some absolutely brilliant. Look at his hair parting. This guy. Let's move my hand out of the way so it gets better focus. Look at that. I mean, that is absolutely amazing as figures go, isn't it? That's just absolutely gorgeous. And they've kind of put the sprue attachment points in very sensible places, i.e. the armpit, so that when you cut it off, you know, it's not going to need much cleanup because you won't see it. Just put plenty of glue in. Well, you know, enough. Clean it up a bit and put a bit of glue in there, and it'll just all melt together, and you won't see any attachment points. So that's very good. Look at these combat trousers, all the pockets in them for tools and things. Isn't that amazing? And then you've got over here, he's got a screwdriver in his hand. Let's turn that around for you. Wrong end, sorry. Where are we? I get a bit lost here. That's before I've had a drink. But yeah, and again, look at this torso here with the... I'm doing it again, going the wrong way. Look at the torso, look at the shirt detail there. His lapels and his, again, the breast pockets on the shirt. Really good, aren't they? Oh, it's amazing. They've got the book. That's the book of notes with all the checklists for the maintenance record. Isn't that good? And on the back of it says, get some focus. Come on, camera. My camera is absolutely superb. It has a wonderful lens, but what's not quite the best on it is its autofocus software. I think it's a little bit sluggish at best. Now you can see the spine of the book cover. Can you see that? Oh, that's wonderful. I love it. That's really good. And that's the other side. That's the open side of the book. Well, that's marvellous. And then you've got this is the officer's head here. And again, the camera's locking on, recognising a human face and focusing on it. And then here we've got, further down, we have got this guy, and we've got this one here. Again, details of the hat, the cap, very, very fine detail. Another thing that throws my camera, I'm learning slowly, but another thing that throws a slight weakness in my camera, people say it's one of the best images they ever see, but it's so sluggish. If I move, it gets totally confused and it all goes blurry. See what I mean? And then it comes back. It's just very slow to focus. That's its one little Achilles heel it has. But anyway, we won't hold it against it too much. Now down here we've got some very interesting stuff here. Look at this. We've got a pistol and a holster. And then we've got some what look like ammo pouches or tool pouches, and then we've got the chap's head and his cap. This is the cap just here. Again, camera locks onto the face, it knows it's a human face. We've got the guy's parachute here on his back, that's one of the pilots. And then over on this side we have got I think it's one of the maintenance engineers again. It's looking up at the bombs, working on the bombs. Again, you've got these wonderful trousers and boots with all this quite remarkable detail, you know, with the all the pouches and pockets that are in the trouser legs. And you've got the helmets there for the pilot and co-pilot. And that is a blooming marvellous bit of just exquisite detail in a 48 scale figure, I think. Those are remarkably good. They just seem to get better and better, ICM do. I don't think any kit manufacturer is improving as fast as they are, you know. And you've got to remember the price point they're at with a lot of these things. They're really competitive. I mean, I just recently reviewed the, well, we had the, I was going to say ICM, but it was actually the Revell rebox of the Leopard tank, which was surprisingly good. I really expected that was going to be a bit of a groaning session for me, but it wasn't. It was actually very good. So I kind of opened my eyes to some of the Revell, because people have said this when they saw my Revell critique, and some people have said, oh, I've had such and such and it was great. This is the problem with Revels I mentioned in the video. Like a box of chocolates, you don't know what you're going to get, and in that ICM chose very wisely to partner up on that particular kit. I just tell them to be a bit nervous generally, but they did choose a good one. Now interestingly, in this kit, the Skymaster, which we'll come to in a minute, we'll talk about it more, but that is actually now being sold by Revell in a rebox by Revell. So that's actually the ICM kit, so that's definitely a bargain. So that's definitely one to consider. And in fact, one of my viewers and subscribers, good friend David, he's just bought one of those, and I think he picked it up for a really low price. So you want to look out for that one. So that is the figures, that's the ground crew and pilots, which I thought were absolutely fantastic. So that's a 10 out of 10 for them anyway. We'll see how the rest goes. Let's just pop them in there. And we'll see how we get on from here on in. So I think we're talking about Skymaster, so why don't we go to the Skymaster next and we'll finish off with the big one. The O2 Skymaster, here we go, O2A. So this is one of these ground interdiction and spotter planes. And it says, in 1966 the US Air Force commissioned Cessna to build a military variant of the Model 337 Skymaster from Cessna. As with the civilian version, the Skymaster was a low-cost twin-engine piston aircraft. So this is the thing that people often don't realise, they weren't around at the time. This is pull you, push me, or push you, pull me. So it's got a puller prop at the front and a pusher prop at the back. So it's got twin props in line, which gives it a lot of power, a lot of speed, and it doesn't add any drag, you know. Not really, it doesn't have any drag. Whereas having engines on the wings is draggy and causes balance issues and obviously torquing issues with one if you have a problem with one engine. This doesn't have any of that. If one engine conks out, you can still get back. So that's a big asset. So it says one engine in the nose of the aircraft and the second engine in the rear of the fuselage. The USAF took delivery of the O2 Skymaster in March of '67. By 1970, a total of 532, it's quite a lot, O2s had been built in two variants for the USAF. During the Vietnam War, the O2A was introduced as the forward control aircraft. So these are the spotters and the people calling in the airstrikes and all that kind of stuff, like you saw in Apocalypse Now. Did it feature an O2? I think it did. I think there was an O2, wasn't there? Yes, I think there was. Didn't they bring in a load of F5s and, did a napalm strike, didn't they? Anyway, technical specs. I always like this from ICM. So the length is 9 metres, span of nearly 12. It's got a starting minimal weight in metric tons of 2.5 tons. So this doesn't weigh much more than a Range Rover, you know. Incredible. It's light, you know. Engine is a Teledyne Continental, two of them obviously, 210 horsepower engine. Maximum speed 320k, that's about 240 miles an hour, isn't it? So it's not bad, is it, for a spotter plane? It's pretty quick. It's faster than a Formula 1 car. So it's driving around at the speed of a Le Mans car on the straight at Le Mans. That's how fast it is. And it's got a maximum ceiling of 6,000 metres. So that's like nearly 18,000 feet. Maximum range of 1,700, so about just over 1,100 miles, say, 1,200 miles almost. And then it has got weapons. It's got two containers with on both wings with GAU-2B rockets, or it can be machine guns. So it can carry 4 rockets or 2 of these machine guns. Wow! So it's not got. It has got teeth. You know, it can defend itself. Right then, let's have a look at what we got. Let's zoom in for this. Let's take a closer look. And we've got some nice decals. Look at this, look at this. Oh, these look really nice. They do look good. Now, I will just say, and I think you'll see this on the camera, I will just say that they have got quite a lot of carrier film surrounding, haloing around the actual decal, which I'm not so keen on. Let's see if we can get this on the camera so you see what I mean. Get it in the right light, there we go. Can you see what I mean? There's quite a lot of shadow or halo around the actual markings themselves. And you do notice it even more on these smaller ones at the bottom. So they're not quite cartograph, I've got to be honest. Yeah, but they're nicely printed, and what's that got on it? Some markings. Not sure what is that, kills or missions? I think it is mission markings. So that's that one. Decals, will just put them to one side. Sorry, I'm just aware there's a fly bobbing around in here. I'm just hoping it's not going to get in front of the camera too much. I do try my best not to get any flies in here, but sometimes it happens if we have the door open. So, sprue map here on the left. It looks like you're going to use everything, and then on the right we start off by building up our start of our cockpit. It looks like we have quite a lot of instrumentation and navigational equipment by the look of it building in here. So you're putting all these together. It's almost like a navigational instrumentation suite that seems to be going in there. That's going in first and is formed into part of the bulkhead here. Then you start with the sides of the cockpit and the windows. And then same on the other side. Then we are going to have the top of the engine, so you do get to see the engine, that's quite cool. Engine and exhaust are there, visible, complete with the prop shaft going through the front. That goes into the front of the fuselage. Then you've got your nose landing gear leg. That's going to go in and be positioned underneath, complete with a couple of, I think it's in pitot strakes. And then we're going to bring all this in together. Sorry, just zoom you back slightly. Bring all this in together into the rest of the fuselage side. Then we're going to build in our instrumentation and yoke controls. There's two of them, of course, in this. I mean, this is a variant of an aircraft that's very familiar to light aircraft flyers all over the world, of course. So you're putting in that instrument panel and your seats all going in onto the floor. And then we're going to bring that into the fuselage side. Put the other windows in on the opposite side. You've got a couple of M16 semi-automatic rifles here, and we've got 10 grams of nose weight it needs to go in, so it doesn't become a tail sitter. So that's worth making note of. Then we've got our it's like a head up. I think it's a compass that they have in front of them. Then you've got your cowling at the front. You've got your propeller going in. This is the rear now, working on the rear cowling and propeller, and also part of the landing gear. And then you've got your front nose propeller going in. Front nose in. I'm cutting out a few letters there. And we've got our windscreen going in here as well. Then we're going to get onto the wings, and it has these windows above for visibility, added visibility in these Skymasters. So then you bring in your wing down on top of the actual cabin. And then we're going to put in this is our cooling and intake for the rear engine, for the air intake and the radiator. And then we've got a couple of strakes and a couple of hand rails and things that have to go on as well. Then we've got because it has a twin boom arrangement with the elevators in the middle. So we've got our twin booms being manufactured here, putting in your rudders as well here. And then bringing the twin booms together, complete with the horizontal stabiliser and the elevator at the back. Bringing your booms in, attaching them because they're actually attaching to the wing. So it's actually all via the wing, the actual mounting and everything. And then you've got the upper wing that has the lower wing mated to it. And then we have our little gear door at the front. We've got our ailerons going on. I've got a couple of light covers here to go on the front of the leading edge. We've got the support the stays for supporting the wing, and then we have got our main gear coming on here, which goes on again just like your typical light aircraft. Is that retracting? They are retracting, yes they are retracting undercarriages on these for sure. One of the things that, yeah, you can see it in the picture there, can't you? It's gone. Just isn't obvious. Because the door shuts behind when it's open and the wheels are down, the door shuts behind it. So it's not quite as obvious as it is on some aircraft. Then you've got a couple of the pylons going on, obviously, and you've got these sway braces for the weapons. Got your rocket launchers, and it gives you an idea what it looked like with the twin rocket launchers on each wing, so that's 4 in total. Or alternatively, you've got single rocket launchers and what is basically a Vulcan gun pod on each wing, which is a mighty electric cannon, so that's really quite a heavy weapon. And then finally you've got to do some masking. You've got to cut your own masks out. I think I might be tempted to buy an aftermarket mask for this, but there's not too many, so maybe you could do it. Maybe you could do it. And there they are, showing all the masks. And then finally we've got our painting and marking guide. So we've got this sort of marking A. It doesn't say what it is, but it looks like that's non-Vietnam use, or perhaps Coast Guard or something. Then you've got, it's not camo, is it? Which has slightly surprised me. It doesn't tell me any details about where it was deployed, unfortunately, but it gives you lots of details about the all of the stencil markings. There's a C version. They don't seem very different. And then we get what is clearly a night Vietnam night version, complete with, obviously it's been calling in airstrikes at night. That's what he's been doing, and that's the one that's got all these like markings, like mission markings on the side. Very nice. It says AK colour sheet designed by AK Interactive. Well, it would be nice if they told us which version was which and not just have them random like that, because it doesn't tell us anything on the box. So we're completely in the dark. We don't know when it was used, what year, anything like that. So that's a little bit of the thing. I'll just say to ICM, that is a bit of an omission, which normally you're never guilty of that at all. But that's because you've had this cooperation, perhaps a bit of a distraction with AK and Revell, and yeah, try to remember that we all want to see the details of what the aircraft did, really. It's a big help. It adds to interest in the kit, doesn't it? But that's a lovely instruction sheet. So let's now actually look at the kit itself. And there's only 3 screws, 1 clear and 2 plastic, each grey. So we'll get this one out. Have a quick look. So there's our clear parts, which ICM are usually very, very good at. Why don't we start with that, in fact. ICM are becoming as good as Tamiya. A bit like the figures, they're as good as Tamiya at their clear parts these days. Why can't I see how I get into this? And it's hiding. So sometimes it's not obvious. They put it really near the end and it's really hard to spot it. Especially if there's a clear sprue sitting directly behind. I can't get into it. It doesn't want to let me in. I think I might be in trouble here, folks. It's actually folded back. Okay, it's not the way I thought it was. Okay. Right. So, clear parts. I'm looking at distortion, especially after that recent airfield Spitfire. Well, it's not as complicated as the Spitfire HUD was, of course, but I'd say overall the distortion is much less than what we saw there. As is normal with ICM. Let's have a look. So here's your main windscreen. Sometimes I was trying to show that distortion in that airfield Spitfire, which I'm sorry to say was actually worse than it did appear in the video. It was much worse to the eye. When I watched the video back, it just didn't seem to quite capture it the way your eye does. It had this like a ripple effect, and the camera was not so good at catching it. It was very good at catching anything on the surface, like a scratch or a scuff. But it does struggle. It was actually better when I put something of different colours behind it. It became more obvious. But these are pretty nice, you know. Tiny bit of distortion there. This is not a new kit though. I think this is dating from about 10, 11 years ago. This particular kit they brought out. It's not a recent addition. But that is very nice, and you know you've got a double curvature there, and they've achieved that very well. So not really any problems with the clear parts here today. And again, you know, when you're looking at clear parts, you've got to bear in mind, irrespective of who the manufacturer is or whatever. But if you're doing things at smaller scales, that's one thing. But when you're at 24 scale, you've really got to nail it, you know, because it's a big part of what the eye is drawn to on a big kit like that. And this is my problem with the Airfix one in a way. It was, yeah, so much of that kit was beautiful, and that wasn't, I'm afraid. It was a little bit of a disappointment. And as I said in the review, I wish I hadn't opened it, because I nearly didn't. It was just that I suddenly remembered there had been an issue with the Mark 9 version. And so I went back and it was like, oh, why did you do this? You know. But it's important that we are open and honest, and you know, that I give you an accurate review of what I see and my impressions are, and that I do my best, as best I can. It's always difficult with clear parts, to show it to you. Clear parts are difficult, and resin is very difficult because it kind of absorbs light. It's like a black hole or a white hole in the case of resin. It can be really hard to show you. Anyway, let's crack on with this. Now, I can tell you now that this looks absolutely stellar. Look at this. So this is our Skymaster. And this is, yeah, it's very, very attractive moulding. Look at that. We've got some lovely, very, very subtle panel lining there. Very finely engraved. We've got a lot of small parts here. Complete with your M16 machine guns there. Got full zoom now? No, we haven't. There we go, full zoom. M16s, look at those. They've got little racks on the side, so that if they get shot down, they can get into a firefight, they can defend themselves. Then we've got, this is the Vulcan, basically the Vulcan electric cannon. This one looks like a pod with like an open end. And then this is the rocket pods. I think if I built this kit, I think I'd do a mix of the two. Then on the other side we've got, you've got a little bit of extra window, which it has these windows in the door, so the pilot can look down. Very useful in this type of aircraft. Don't think you have that in the civilian version. Some of you may be pilots. I know at least one of you is. David is. Maybe you can advise. And then we have the twin instrument panel. And we've got our cowlings and things, and of course then we've got the wing, top wing this is, less its ailerons, and again some really nice quality moulding here. It has that lovely ICM sort of silky finish, like a satin finish, just right I think for kits it is. And then over here we've got the floor of the cabin, we've got the seats here. Rather rudimentary, aren't they, the seats and the seat cushions? They're not getting any great comfort there. But that's a very nice sprue, it's completely flawless. Let's look at the other one. Other one here. And this is the bottom of the wings now, which are in two separate pieces. And then we've got our ailerons on the end, complete with the pitot probe. Or I think it's actually a thermometer temperature probe. One on each wing, same on the other side there. Here you've got your classic looking Cessna cowling, and again this is the rear cowling here for the pusher motor. And then we've got our twin booms there, and all our landing gear wheels here, wheels and tyres, split down the middle, which is not ideal, but anyway, I suppose it's a smaller scale kit, probably not going to notice it that much. And you've got your, I think it's actually an aerial antenna rail that goes across the top. And then over here we've got our twin propellers. For the push you, pull me propellers, there they are. They're nice, aren't they? Nice props. And of course we've got the stays that support the wing. Why can't I remember the correct name for them? It's just gone out of my head. I know the correct name for these, and it's just from all those World War I biplanes, and I've forgotten it. Having a bit of brain freeze. But there you go. So there's some, and then you've got there's your ailerons both sides as well. Ailerons, yeah. So yes, I think that is a really nice little kit. Can't see any flash that cause any problems. Really nice, you know, really nice. Really good stuff. So, I'll try to do this without making too much crinkling, crankling. Racking. So bear with me. Oh, do it the easy way. So there you go. Oh, crinkle, crinkle. Just switch your headphones off for a second. Poor guy. Right, that's that one done. So that is the Cessna. Now we move on to the big one. The B-26 Counter Invader. I'm just wondering whether I need to get the fly out of my room because I've just got a horrible feeling he's going to be a nuisance. I think we'll plough on without because he hasn't bothered us yet, has he? It says in the early 1960s the USAF were faced with the need for having aircraft capable of counter-insurgency operations in Vietnam. Along with the development of specialised aircraft, improvements were made to existing models to carry out these tasks and fulfil the current and developing need. Among these were cars of the B-26 family. I think there's been a translation problem. Aircraft of the B-26 family. Improvements, amongst other things, consisted of strengthening the wing structure and adding 8 underwing points for the weapons suspension. Yes, okay, it's beyond the nacelles for the engines, of course, so you've got to be careful, haven't you? Installing increased rudder area. It's got a bigger rudder, it's deeper, a bit like the Spitfire, deeper backwards, you know. And adding fuel tanks at the wingtips and installing dual controls. Well, I suppose that helps with the balance maybe a little bit, the wingtip tanks. As you put a lot of weight inboard, they sort of get around it that way, don't they? In the spring, no, it's not, putting it inboard is not normally a problem, I've got to be honest, but anyway. In the spring of 1964, the USAF received the first B-26K Counter Invader, and the entire order was completed by April 1965. In the spring of '66, it was decided to deploy these aircraft to Southeast Asia. What a surprise, eh? That came as a real surprise. From the airfields of Thailand, they made combat missions to... Oh, so this is in Thailand. You know, I thought it was a Thai-sounding name. Nakhon Phanom. Sounds Thai, okay. So it's over the Thai border. Apologies to anyone. I've got at least one viewer, maybe 2 in Thailand, so apologies for my ignorance there. Thailand did not allow the basing of bombers on its territory. Okay. Deploy these airfields of Thailand. They made combat missions to the territory of Laos. Okay, so they attacked Laos because Thailand did not allow bombers on its bases. So they must have used it as a staging area, Thailand. So they probably landed and refueled in Laos and then did the bombing raid, landed again in Laos, and then went back to Thailand and said, no, we haven't been bombing anybody. Okay. I'm sure some of the experts amongst you may know more about it. Anyway, from May 1966, these aircraft began to be designated as attack aircraft with the designation A-26A. Oh, okay. So, technical specs: wingspan 22 metres, length just under 16 metres, maximum weight 17.8 tonnes. 2 Pratt & Whitney R2800 52W engines, very powerful. Aren't they the same ones that were on the Mitchell? Anyway, so they look similar. Combat radius of 1127 kilometres, maximum speed 400 miles an hour. Not bad. Armament 8, 12.7 machine guns, bombs, incendiary bombs, and unguided rockets. Machine guns. It's another Vulcan cannon, isn't it? I think. Right. So let us then we'll look at the weapons at the end. We'll look at the kit, the airplane first, because it's big. There's a lot of this. It's going to take a while, but I'll try and breeze through it quickly, or as quickly as possible. Let's just have a quick flick. I'll try not to dwell too long because it's turning into a really big review this, and I didn't really anticipate that at the beginning. Actually, I did think it'd be a short one, but I don't think it's going to turn into quite as much plastic. I've got to say, when ICM make these sets up together, the value sort of grows exponentially. You should certainly consider, like they did with the Marauder, with the with the ground crew. It suddenly became really good value, you know, for not much more money. So here we've got our decals. Let's have a look at these. Some nice ones here. Okay, Okay, so these are all for this aircraft. Special K, propeller warning, I think that's on the inside. Mighty Mouse. On the other side we've got, that's just taken off, Sweet Teresa. They got the stars and bars there. And looks like Roadrunner riding on a bomb. That's what it looks like to me. See that? What cool decals. Now, interestingly, yeah, they are again suffering a little bit from this rather an excess, bit of an excessive halo of carrier film around the outside of the decal. See that? Yeah, Mighty Mouse. You see it there, can't you? A little bit too much. They've not been doing that recently, and this is not the latest kit, so I'm guessing that it's just a product of its time, so to speak. So let's have a look at the instructions now. This variant, of course, is going to have a lot of different parts, and it looks like you get the option to build a couple of different versions. They're probably not going to recommend you do that within the instructions, but you can tell straight away when I show you this. Look at the amount of salmon pink that blots out what you don't need to be using in this particular variant. I mean, just look at the amount of it. It's 50% of the kit that you're not going to use by the look of it. That's a lot, isn't it? And then you get onto the second page, which I think is more specific to this kit, and there's only a tiny amount, just one of the windows that you're not going to use. Anyway, getting into the actual detailed instructions themselves. Starts off building your bombs. It's a very strange place to start. So you've got bombs for the bomb rack, the internal bomb rack. And it is almost like a development of the Mitchell. I mentioned the Mitchell before, but it's almost like a Mitchell evolution, this aircraft, to me. Heavier bomb load, you know, better wing loading and all that kind of stuff. You've got internal windows going in, you've got the internal bulkheads going in, instrument panels, etc. And then you've got the sort of instrumentation and radio equipment going in behind the pilot, and the pilot's seat going in there, which is kind of moulded in actually, isn't it? Then we've got these various internal bulkheads going in between, acting like spars down all the way down the inside of the fuselage, attaching to the fuselage sides, and then you're going to build up your twin seat cockpit area, complete with twin yokes, of course. All going in there, complete with the rather rudimentary seats again. And then we're going to pop that into the actual fuselage. Side windows, porthole windows. Are they windows or not? I'm starting to question that now. Or are they mountings? They might be mountings actually. And then you've got your bomb racks going in on the opposite side, of course. And then we're going to bring the two fuselage halves together here. Complete with these spars, which are going to pop out and give us a proper wing spar. Then we've got our horizontal, they're not that horizontal, they're actually like a V-tail, aren't they? They're not completely horizontal. Horizontal stabilisers and elevators going on, and your extended big rudder going in there. And again, I mentioned the Mitchell, again it reminds me of the Mitchell variant that has all the cannons in the nose. Multiple cannons, I think they're 50 cal, I think there's 8 of them, which is a blooming lot of firepower in your nose. So they go into the nose and the nose goes on there. And then we've got the top and bottom wings coming together, complete with your ailerons, your flaps, inboard and outboard, and your fuel tank going on there, and then repeat the process on the opposite page for the opposite side. Bring the wings in here, put in your nose section. Is it nose section or rear section? No, sorry, it's the nacelles. It looks like the nose. So the nacelles for the engine, bringing in your bulkheads for them, complete with your landing gear bay doors. Same repeat, that rinse and repeat on the other side, and then put your front cowling for the engines on. There's no actual engine visible, unfortunately, so those go in and then get attached, and the nacelles go onto the engine there. Then here we're going to put on the roof, effectively what is the roof, on the top of the central fuselage section, and your cockpit. Make sure you get the right glass house, not the wrong one, because you only use one of them. And then there's a rear section as well, which has got all this countermeasures electronic equipment that you saw being built up at the beginning. It's in like a bay, radar jammers, etc. And then you put the rear fuselage floor goes in here, Then you build up your wheels and tyres for the landing gear, and the landing gear legs themselves, wheels going in there, and the actuators and the rods for lifting the control arms that actually lift the gear bay legs. Putting your gear bay legs, sorry, your legs in, your landing gear in here. Then you do get the front of the engine, so you do see some engine after all. I forgot it's the way that the Pratt & Whitney appears, isn't it? It's like a two-stage thing. So you get the twin banks of cylinders at the front there, build those up together, completely your magnetos on the front of the engine, and you get your sort of fuel ring and electric supply from the magnetos all going in. That's nice and detailed. That looks really nice. This is looking good already. I like the look of this. This is looking very positive, much more than I thought it was going to be. So then you put your engine fronts on there, then your engine cowls go on here, and then we put our sort of internal access flap cowls. They go on there, top ones and then the bottom ones for maintenance. Then we've got our bomb bay doors going in here, and then it's all the ancillary parts that are going in, lots and lots of pitos and aerials, and because it's a counterinsurgency aircraft, it has a heck of a lot of antennas and aerials and things, so that part of the territory really. And then underneath you've got your pylons coming in here for all your weapons. It's an aircraft that's actually got a lot of teeth and a lot of things going on this plane, aren't there? Then your props going on the front with the spinners all built in, and then you get these optional loadouts that they mentioned. So you've got your you can have combinations. You can have an additional fuel tank inboard, then you've got the over here, then you'd have Vulcan cannon here, and then you'd have two different types of rocket rails on the outside, or any combination really. And then finally we get to the dreaded masking. A bit more on this one than the Cessna. Yeah, I think I'd be tempted to go for a mask set, but for what it costs, it's not worth it, is it? And now we're back to ICM's normal service, because we got the Vietnam Southeast Asia camo, but it tells you where they are. So this is at Nakhon Phanom, which is obviously in Thailand, over the border. That's where they're based anyway. And then we've got Davis Monthan Air Base in 1970, which is is that Montana? I'm not sure my geography in that part of the States, but it's over in the States. And then we've got another one here, all very similar SEA camo, and this is Nakhon Phanom. Again, this is the 609th Special Operations Squadron, Covert Black Ops Squadron for sure. And then we've got one with a complete, I was going to say complete black understand, it is in fact the same. And this is the just says USAF late 1960s Special Operations Wing. So probably some dirty black ops we're not allowed to know about. But there we go. So I have to say from the instructions that, yeah, and I say I've not seen this kit before in any form. I like it from what I've seen. If the plastic's as good as that, then we're going to be okay. I've just got to put a little bend in the decals there. Oops. Careless of me. Right, let's just pop that back in there. Let's just stick that there, and let's get the plastic down. It's what you all want to see. Right. Oh, 2 big bags of screws. 2 bags. Sorry about the crinkle, crinkle. Blame ICM. Airfixers bags. By the way, I should have said this at the Airfix review. I was a bit unfair on them. I forgot to mention this. I complained in the Mark 9 Spitfire that they did about how they had this excessively silly bag. Well, they don't anymore. They've gone to really well-sized bags, so well done, Airfix. You have listened to that one. That was much better, and they were just about right as well, because you can reseal them easily and stuff like that. Anyway, here we go. So we've got the wings of the Counter Invader B-26K, and here we are. They are pretty big. This is going to be quite a big kit, actually. When you build this model, it's going to be blunking huge. It's going to half fill the desk here. Got engine nacelles here. We've got the bomb bays here, bomb bay doors I should say. Then we've got the underside of the wing surface here. Some really nice detail. Very, very nice panel lining here, as you can see. The engraving is very, very nicely done, very fine. It's what we've come to expect from ICM these days, really. You know, I think people initially with ICM perhaps more familiar in the last couple of years, perhaps. Familiar perhaps with their quite a big catalogue now, but they've had this sort of leap in quality. And until about 2019 to 2020, they were very good, but now they've gone on to another level completely. And if there are people out there who have not had any recent kits from them, you should definitely try one. It doesn't have to be this, but you know, go and try, dip your toe in the water in one or two of these kits. And I think you'll be pleasantly surprised if you've not tried them before, because they really are, you know, their moulding quality, it's as good as Meng or Tamiya. Very, very good indeed. What I'm going to do this time, I'm going to play it a bit clever. I'm going to pop that straight back in there, which will enable us to get others in the bag easier afterwards. Oh, sorry about the crinkling. Right, we've got two of these are identical, so we'll just do one of them. And what's that? A bit of flash I see before me, but it's not on the part, it's on the sprue. Here you got your propellers. And all the engine parts, and again they've done this really beautifully, haven't they? Look at those. All your cowlings are there, and that's your exhaust at the bottom there. Exhaust exits, you've got your bombs. It's very, very crisp, isn't it? Absolutely lovely. Oh yeah, that's really nice. I say there's two identical sprues of this, exactly the same. And back, I'll just show you on the back really, but that's very, very good indeed. So that's that one. Then we have the this is slightly different to the other one in the way that they've shown things. You've got your propellers here, your main propellers, which they're huge, aren't they? They've got these very flat tips. Is that to make them quieter? That's an unusual tip design, isn't it? Completely flattened off tips, square edged. Does that make them quieter, or does it make them noisier? Is it to frighten everybody? Because normally that's considered to not be aerodynamic. You get tip vortex and things like that on the actual end of the screw. Show you the side a bit better. Yeah, that surprises me a little bit. It's a design from the aircraft. Anyway, then underneath we've got all these. You see the mounting points for the pylons, for all weapons, and you've got your. That's actually the roof section. That's another bit of roof there, and then you've got some of these sort of ailerons here. But again, look at the wing. Look at the detail here that we've got. Some beautiful panel lining. It's really crisp. Very, very nice, and it's so consistent as well. Doesn't fade out toward the end or anything like that. Really nice panel lining, that. Absolutely lovely. So that's that one. Then we have got quite a lot of ancillary components. So this is, I've just got to show you this. This is the nose that's going to have all these 50 cal guns in it. Look at that. That's incredible. That's like a porcupine, isn't it? All these gun barrels are going to be poking out of it at the end. And we've got our drop tanks here. It says, get some focus. Drop tanks. There, thank you. I think I'll come back a bit. Sometimes the zooming in too much doesn't help. And then we've got our gear bay doors over here. And we've got our flaps there. And underside of the nose. And then we've got all the gear bay, the gear legs I should say. Here's our machine guns, 50 cals here, barrels. It's nice, isn't it? Get a bit closer with this. Are they hollow? Are they slide moulded? Not as such, I don't think. I'll try and get it in focus for you. Not as such, not as such. And then we've got all our gear legs. And we've got the other parts of the flaps, ailerons and flaps. You've got your control yoke there. It's a lovely kit, isn't it? Really nice. Very impressed. Right, so then in this set, or bag I should say, we have got our clear parts, and if I recall correctly, the one we use, I've forgotten already, I think it's this one. We've got slightly different, yeah, this is the one you use, right, okay. So I just want to get my head around which is which before I start showing you the wrong one, which is easy to do. Very easy. Hard getting that one out. So there's two versions here. One you won't be using. The one you won't be using is the one that you now see, in fact, because it's got an extra bit of window glass, and I guess when they're in combat they wanted the maximum visibility. So you don't use that one because it has this extra bit of framing here. So that's deleted, and this is the one you use without that corner frame. And again, ICM's glass, you know. One or two people thought I was a little bit, maybe a bit harsh on the Airfix Spitfire, but it wasn't. I still feel that the camera wasn't picking up the harshness of the distortion that you could see. And this, when you're doing bubble canopies, it's going to have a tiny distortion when you've got these complex curves. And there's the tiniest bit here, just on the side here, but it's nothing like it was on that Spirit. This is way, way better. Just clarity, you know, beautiful finishing. You can see that ICM have really got it licked, you know, clear parts. They're really up there with Tamiya, I think so. Really, really nice. So there's nothing at all wrong there. Nothing wrong. Beautiful. There's actually a furry edge on one. I just want to swipe with a sandy stick on the edge of the straight window. It's one of the observation windows, isn't it? But that is beautiful. You know, clear parts is the greatest challenge, I think, for most manufacturers, and I'm sure it requires a lot of focus, attention to detail to get it just right, and some manufacturers seem to have that more than others, really. We saw Mini Art, they did a couple of beautiful kits recently, but that was a real weakness for them, I think. Whenever they produce some clear parts, they just don't seem to be. It's the distortion again, very distorted. You know? Right, anyway, we've got a problem here, so I'm just going to pull that away, out of the way, flip that in like so, and then drop it in vertically, I think. See what we have, let's start this sheet here. Make that first, got the propellers really bound up and we don't want them to get damaged. So, I'm going to remove that first one. This, for your convenience and for the sake of your ears, I'll leave it till later. Because it's turning into a little bit of a pig now. Let's move on, let's have a look what we've got here. I can almost hear that gentleman sighing a big sigh of relief who's got his headphones on. It's not my fault, they're really creepy, aren't they? They're like the worst of the crisp bag, aren't they? Potato chips, you know? Really. Right, so here we have got the other parts we haven't seen. So now we've got the some of the spars, these are quite clever, aren't they? Where they've got a central bulkhead with the spar attached, which gives you a lot of strength in the model. Basically like the real thing, you know, that's the same concept. Then you've got your intervening bulkheads with doors in, although the doors don't open. And then we've got our Bombay door, that's the Bombay door there, it's got the split down the centre. And here we've got the, this is where we've got, sorry, now, hang on, this is one of these sprues that I think you're going to use very little of. You're probably only going to use these parts, in fact, because they're different. Because look, it doesn't have the pylons for the weapons underneath. This is the basic bomber version, so ignore all that. All we're looking at is these, the rest. Probably those bulkheads and the spars, yes, but not the wings, and not that part, because that has a turret clearly, which we don't have on this one. So we're looking at the V-tail horizontal stabiliser, so that's that one. Then we have got a couple of small sprues. and they involve the pylons here, which they're in halves, so there's obviously 8 of them, 4 per wing, and you've got also your pilot yoke or co-pilot yoke, various antennas, quite a lot of the smaller parts there. Then we have our tail, which is again this. Is that the tail or is that the? No, it's not the tail, is it? No, it's not the tail. Right. So in fact, what I just told you was wrong. This is the V-tail. This is the V-tail part that we're interested in for this kit, with the horizontal stabilizers. Yeah. There appears to be 2 versions. There's only 3 versions actually. But there we go. So that's those, and then main fuselage. Here we go. Right then, now we've got the tail. Now we've got the tail with this great big rudder, deep rudder that it has. This modification, and then you can see the full sort of size of the fuselage here. You've got these very, very proper meaty undercarriage, huge wheels and tyres, massive. Now then, it's quite a heavy plane, so it needs to have that. It's like a World War II bomber, isn't it? Sort of size, medium bomber. And then you've got these under panels. This is the one that goes towards the back of the fuselage. So as I say, this is your big rudder. Again, beautiful engraving on it. The tyre is just a smooth finish. It doesn't seem to have any tread. Which slightly surprises me, but anyway. I would have thought operating in those conditions they want a treaded tyre, but I suppose that's where the US matting comes in, really, to save them from having any problems. And then over on this side, this is the right underwing part. I guess you can see it's got the indents for all the pylons. And then you've got your nacelle cowlings for the engine, and you've got intakes, and you've got the optional split bomb bay doors here and here. And then you've got the optional tank, fuel tank on the wing, that one. That's the wing end tank. Wing tip tank, I should say. And then you've got your instruments you can see there, complete with the pilot's pedals. Look at that, rudder pedals. It's nice, isn't it? What a beauty! It's a nice kit, you know. It's a nice kit. They've done it absolutely brilliantly again, haven't they? They seem to have come up with another winner. I'm not sure, but oops, just went wrong with my controls there. Not sure that I'm not sure that we have seen much better kit this year than this. Actually, it's right up there anyway, isn't it? It's right up there. Again, I'll save you ears. Right, finally we've got the weapons. Crinkle, crinkle. Just turn the volume down for a second. I like these bags, I've got to be honest, because they're very crispy and they're very clear, aren't they? So they actually do the job well. So here we've got our, like a pepper pot and like a Zuni rocket style. So here you can see the different options we've got. So this is like the Zuni type rocket launcher, and this is like the pepper pot style. And that's like, yeah, over here we've got like the tips of the Zuni style rockets, which has, what's that got, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rockets. And obviously over here you've got multiples, and there's 2 of this sprue, so there's 2 lots. You also got fins for the bombs there, and you've got all the other variants, including the Vulcan cannon, which is basically, I say Vulcan, I'm not sure it actually is the Vulcan on this. It's actually a different design, isn't it, to the one on the Cessna we saw, but it's a similar electric cannon anyway. And then we have got some of the pylon components there. So there's 2 of those, and then we have a second sprue, which is all the other things, all the other weapons basically. So all the sway braces are here that hold it onto the pylon. You've got your rocket launcher tubes here, which form like a triangular shaped tubing arrangement. You can see it there, can't you? The end of it there, that's where they actually come out. and then we've got additional fuel tanks here. He says here. Get the focus to work in the end. And then you've got the various sort of rails that hold them onto the pylons. And that is kind of all of it, actually, I think. Oh, of course, we've got here, I missed these are the tails for the bombs. So actually that's a bomb, isn't it? That I'm getting a little bit confused. Just going back to this one that I said was a Vulcan cannon. I'm sure I was thinking this, I thought somebody's going to scream at the camera saying I'm wrong. It's actually a bomb, because I'm looking at it has like it's one of those delay bombs that detonates above ground, that has a proboscis on the front, so it detonates before it hits the ground, the actual weapon. And that is the proboscis part of it here. So it's one of these bombs that's designed to detonate a couple of feet above ground when it hits the long tube proboscis end, hits the ground and sets it off. So that's what that is. So there you go. So you've got quite a... And over here we've actually got... Okay, this is where I've gone wrong today. Well, nobody's perfect, are they? You know, I forgot to show you this. Had I shown you this, I would know what I was talking about, wouldn't I? So first of all, we've got our decals for it all. I might end up doing this twice now. We've got all our decals. And I note straight away that some of the silhouetting, or these are more modern. I can tell this is a more modern kit, because the carry film silhouette, shadow, halo I should say, is not as big as you've seen on those others. Can you see that? It's much finer, it's much tighter up to the actual decal or stencil itself. That's very evident. So what we've got here, we've got our US weapons, which is what I should have started with on this. I forgot they had separate instructions. Here they are, and it tells you what they all are. So I've just done this in the first place, I know what I was blabbing on about. So yes, we've got the Zunny rocket pod, and then we've got the other one, the LAU-69A, which is a multiple, like a pepper pot. LAU-68, yeah, that's the one. And it was indeed a bomb, I just realised. Then that was the BLU-23. Then we've got the BLU-27, which is bigger, some heavy bombs, some big bombs. Mark 77, which is another type of bomb. I think that's napalm, isn't it? I think I'm right. 77, yeah. SU-114A, which is that's the triangular rocket one. Then we've got the snake eye bomb. This is the one that has the retarding fins that pop out. They were used by the Argentines in the Falklands War, of course. Got low drag Mark 81, which is they're often dropped at high level. Then we've got the Mark 82 snake eye, the bigger snake eye, again Falklands War veteran. And then we've got the MER, which are like I think they're like a multiple. I'm not sure what it is. It's like a mini rocket pod that fires, I think, a stream of rockets down. You know. And then there's the. Is that it? Yeah. And then there's markings on the back. So there we go. Very comprehensive instructions. If I'd only read them, I'd known what I was talking about. You know, I would have made a lot more sense. But aren't they clear? Now that I've got the instructions in front of me, suddenly all becomes clear. And you've got all your markings there with your position for your decals and your weapon stencils all laid out for you. How hard can it be? Just read the damned instructions. Yeah. A bit of a faux pas there. Anyway, not to worry. So, there we go. So I won't put those away now, because again, it's going to take too long and it's going to crinkle like hell. So what do we think? What do we think? Is there anything I didn't like in this kit? There isn't, is there? Did I criticise anything? There was one bit where, was it on the Cessna? Yeah. The only criticism, and this is not worth even knocking a quarter of a point off. The only criticism was on the Cessna, where they didn't show on the colour callouts. They didn't tell you any information about where they were based, which is completely out of character, and not like it is with the rest of the aircraft, the main aircraft. So that was a bit silly of them, but I think that's something's got lost in translation with AK getting involved. I think seems odd, but anyway. It was Vietnam, we know that they were being used there. Clearly they were at this Air Force base as well, based in Thailand. So there we go. So I'm not going to knock them anything off for that, because it would be petty. It really would be doing it for the sake of it. The plastic, alright, the decals, some of them are a little bit older, you can tell. I suppose in a way I should knock a quarter off for that, for the the halo, the rather thick halo around some of those decals, which is just making it. But it's so close to 10 out of 10, isn't it? It's 9.75 out of 10. I think that's really fair, don't you? And it's so close to being a 10. The plastic in both the kits is lovely. It tells you what what these what the weapons are, which a lot of the Chinese manufacturers never bother to do that, which drives me mad. It's all there for you. What you need is in the kit. And what did I say? It was £60. I mean, to be honest, if that had a Tamiya badge on it, that would be over £100, wouldn't it? Yeah. And if it had an Airfix badge on it, it'd be over £80. I'm sure it would. So you're getting a heck of a lot in this box for your money. If you're interested in Vietnam, and you can see the quality of the moulding, it's going to be enjoyable, and it's going to be quite a learning experience putting this together. This will keep you busy for a couple of months, I reckon. Take your time, like me. Take your time. So what did I do? Started the Mosquito on the 18th of Feb, and I'm still on stage 2. I'll talk about that separately. You shouldn't rush things. I can't be doing mosquitoes properly and doing all this entertainment for you as well at the same time. So those of you here who is without sin, or she is without sin, cast the first stone against me. I think that you've got to be in the right mood. It's been very hot and it's not been modelling weather, I don't think. I've got problems with my foot at the moment, so I've got to be a bit careful. I don't want to sit in the same position for too long, and modelling for hour after hour after hour is probably not a good thing either. So yeah, I have to listen to the excuses. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We're getting off the subject, but that's a fantastic kit. That is really exceeding. I saw it and I thought, oh, do I want this really? Is it my sort of thing? And I thought, well, go on, because I didn't know it had the matting included, so you get everything in that picture. You get the men, you get the matting, you get the 2 aircraft, all for about £60–65. Really? I mean, come on, it's fantastic, brilliant. Anyway, it's brand new, it's just out in the shops now. You should be able to pick it up literally this week. So I would give that a strong endorsement, 9.75. In many respects, I've been a bit picky. You could argue it's a 10. Any of you that say, I think it's 10, I'm not going to argue with you, to be honest. That's how good it is, full of money. The value is exceptional there, exceptional. There's such a lot of stuff. And I think all the manufacturers can learn from this. Get a couple of decent kits, do a combo like this. All they've had to do really is, create some new artwork and make a different box and combine a few kits together, and it's like a bumper bundle. But it's a meaningful bundle, they were at the same basis together, so it makes sense, What a fantastic product. Well done, ICM. If you're watching, any of you from the Ukraine, from ICM, hope you're enjoying your holidays. God knows you deserve it, Well done again. It only fills me with more optimism for the future of what you're going to produce next, really. Just feels like you're getting better. I know these were not new tools, but the concept is good, it's a very good strategy you've got. Please keep it up. It's brilliant, brilliant. Well done to them. Hope you enjoyed the show. Hope you'll give me a like, give me a 10 out of 10. Don't forget to share and subscribe if you enjoyed the vid. Thank you very much for watching. Hope it wasn't too long. I mean, it must be well over an hour, mustn't we? Dragged on a bit, but there's a huge amount of plastic in that box. Can't be avoided. Thanks for watching, and I'll have more interesting stuff I hope for you in the very near future. Thank you for all your time. In the meantime, till next time, take care of yourselves. Stay well, stay safe, stay cool. It has actually cooled off a bit while I've been doing this video, thank God, because it was quite sweltering earlier on. So let's hope that we can still have some nice sunny weather, but perhaps a little bit more breathable and a bit more pleasant. Till next time anyway, thanks a lot, and bye for now.